Sir is having 30 years experience in the field of renewable energy, GIS application, remote sensing, and biofuel. Sir retired as Chief Scientific Officer in the year 2019 from Karnataka State Council for Science and Technology. Sir handled projects under funding agency DST GOI, NRDMS, GST GOI, KSSDI, GST GOI, and GOK. Undergoing project is principal investigator for biofuel cell established at KSCST funded by Karnataka State Biofuel Development Board in the year 2011 onwards. Work involves organizing training, workshops for officials and staff of district center and promoting research in biofuel. Sir has attended many conferences and workshops. A few workshops organized are UNDP workshop on GIS for local level planning on June 1997 at Jilla Panchayat, Kolar district, Karnataka. And UNDP workshop on water resource management on October 1998, Jilla Panchayat, Kolar district, Karnataka. UNDP final workshop for district officials, Jilla Panchayat, Kolar district, Karnataka. And national workshop on research opportunities on biofuel in the year 2010 at GKVK, Bangalore, Karnataka. So with the brief introduction, now I invite SN Sundar sir to take over the session on the topic of biofuel, a promising green fuel. For the session. Sir, please take over the session.
Sir, you are presenter now. You can share your slides, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now I am audible?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
You can proceed, sir.
Thank you, Professor, for the kind introduction and kind words. I am very happy to be here as a presenter in your faculty development program conference. Respected principal of Don Bosco Institute of Technology, respected faculties and staffs of faculties and staffs of the Department of Chemistry and DBIT. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to make a presentation before you regarding biofuels, which is part of the green chemistry, the theme of your conference. This biofuel, why I am saying is a green fuel. Hello. Just a moment. Is my
So PPT is not visible, sir.
okay now? Now is it visible?
No, sir.
sir.
No. Hello.
Yes, sir. Now,
Yes,
now
sir.
we can able to see.
Yeah,
Just make it
Make it
full
full
screen,
screen.
sir.
yeah, I'm making. It is not taking. Just give me 1 second. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
So, as Sir has introduced, I am S.N. Sondu. I retired as Chief Scientific Officer from the Karnataka State Council for Science and Technology. I was working there for more than 3 decades as a senior scientific officer and project engineer, and finally as chief scientific officer involved in 2, 3 major projects and programs. My main interest was in GIS and green energy. So I have also worked for some time on solar energy also. So now, since last 1 decade before my retirement, I was involved in biodiesel, rather bioenergy, which is a major initiative, global initiative rather, which has been taken up since more than 2 decades now. And people are very much interested in going for bioenergy systems for producing energy for their domestic and industrial needs. So this is the status of bioenergy, or you can also call it green energy, which is has become very important not to only our nation but for the entire world, because as you might have been seeing since last so many years now, you are all senior faculties here, so you may be using vehicles for your transport, domestic transport and all. How much fuel consumption is going on, you can imagine the quantum of fuel that we consume every day in order to move from one destination to the other destination. This fuel consumption has led to a major problem called pollution, and that too it is air pollution. Air pollution again has led to major global climatic changes, which is now, which you can see in your regular daily weather. This one, how the monsoons have changed, how the summers have changed, how winters have changed, how Bangalore itself is changing because of this so-called air pollution. Added to that, we have also water pollution, rather groundwater pollution, because of so many other industrial activities which are going on in the metros, especially in Bangalore city, or even in some smaller industrial areas where which are maybe very closer to uh, rivers or small tributaries, and they end up polluting these tributaries or rivers by dumping their effluents into that. So, seeing all this, the globally or even nationally, we have been focusing on green energy, green system of working. Green system of working is nothing but you try to reduce the pollution and control the usage of fossil fuels, that is petrol and diesel, which we are regularly using. Even for that matter, even LPG, everything is a derivative of fossil fuel, which has been a major cause of pollution. Even in the seas, you might have observed that if the oil tanker crashes, the entire oil is spilled into the sea, and Thereby, so many marine lives have been killed because of that pollution. So this is the intensity of pollution from fossil fuel. It is like a dark tunnel where you can't breathe. So that is the kind of chemistry is involved in fossil fuel and extracting derivatives from that, like petrol, diesel, LPG gas, so many, even auto gas. So many things, they are being extracted from, derived from petroleum products and plastics. You can think of plastics, and then even there are certain packaging material which are used for packing very high quality equipments, and all that also come from this fossil fuel based plastics. So all this has looks good in the initial stages, because things are technology have been very much simplified, although basically it is a complicated process. Industrially, it is a petroleum is a very complicated process, because you might have seen at least photos of petroleum industries, how the system works, how complicated is the system, how many levels of distillation, fractional distillation you have to do. So these all are not only creating complexity in the basic reaction system, but also in the usage of power to run such a system. That is the major problem here. That's why we are more focusing on green chemistry, green energy, non-polluting energy, so that it will help to restore the air quality and water quality in our earth system. So this is the reason why people are focusing on green chemistry, which all I feel most of the chemistry research which people are doing now, they should divert their attention more towards green chemistry. Green chemistry means such reactions which reduces the use and production of hazardous chemicals. Any organic and bioorganic chemistry is also green chemistry. So there are so many, you would have observed, so many products that come as bio products, which have which are almost non-polluting. There may be some pollution because of the groundwater effluents and all that, and directly entering into groundwater system and thereby causing both soil and water pollution. So soil pollution can also be hazardous to agriculture growth. So we need to think about that also. So organic and bioorganic chemistry is also an important chemistry. If you all know very well that as a chemistry faculties and research, that organic chemistry started with organic chemistry, that is organic chemistry experiments. So that is how we came across so many organic chemistry experiments, research, then inorganic chemistry, then the required instrumentation called physical chemistry. So all these were developed starting from organic chemistry. We forget the old system of working, and we, because of, if you think in a wider this one, you will realize that all this changes what has happened since last 50 or 60 years in the area of chemistry is all because of fossil fuels. Major changes have come because of fossil fuel. Although it has helped the economy to grow, but in the long run, it has also created a lot of problems, which we have realized now, and we want to get back to the old system, not in an old way, but in a new way, and the new systems are available. And of course, the wind energy and solar energy also have come into play. This will help in reducing the pollution. So any chemistry based reaction production which can reduce air and water pollution can also be called green chemistry. So these are the principles, different systems where you can think about working as a green chemist. Green chemist is little bit different from industrial chemistry, which you may be following as of now as per your curriculum or as per your syllabus. But green chemistry should be part of your curriculum, and more focus should be given in the experimental chemistry, where you can utilize chemicals or product, different reaction systems, which reduces the pollution even even at the laboratory level. Even at the laboratory level, we can reduce the pollution by introducing green chemistry in your experimental methods. Use safer solvents and auxiliary use of renewable feedstocks to. It is very interesting that till today, people now are competing with each other to get a hold of natural feedstocks, which can yield so many products. It is not one or two products. It's not only protein. It's not only any medicinal values, but even energy. What kind of energy it can yield also is to be found out. And it is my feeling, my gut feeling, that today's chemist or chemistry faculties should focus on this. Example of green chemistry, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to come across the technology part and industrial part. Of course, this is all industrial things. At the lab level also, you can see that's the one beauty of green chemistry is you can go to the most micro level of operations. Even in rural areas, you can go and get into green chemistry and produce various products. And the thing, if you understand, it requires less of complicated reaction systems. It's a very simple reaction system to produce a bio product or a bioenergy system. The production of bioethanol, production of biogas, production of organic dyes. Today people are working on organic dyes so much so that that is the old system. It is not that it is new. It is old system. I hope you understand that silk dyeing and all that, that is the old system of working. But people had forgotten and got into dyes which were petroleum based, and finally ended up as dye, in the production of textiles and all that. But you can get back to the system in a different way, in a new updated version of organic chemistry. The solvent extraction plant, production of feedstock, any feedstock based products such as sugar from sugar cane. From sugar cane, there are so many products you can get into other than sugar. Of course, sugar and jaggery are the main products, but you can get energy out of it. You can get agro feeds out of it. So many things you can do where you don't introduce any chemicals or inorganic chemicals into the system. Even if you are introducing, it is a very minimum level, quantity, and bare minimum quantity is required to trigger a reaction as a catalyst. So dairy based products, you can see, you are all very well aware that all the dairy based products such as milk, curds, so many cheese, butter, whatever, is all this all also part of green chemistry only. The chemistry involved in food and dairy products is also a green chemistry. But of course, we should be very careful about the effluent. Effluent from such dairy plants or dairy product plants are very critical to handle, because the moment it is exposed to the atmosphere, it gets the reaction starts, the decomposing starts. So we need to get rid of the decomposition process before the water is or effluent is led to any major outlet. So we try to prevent that effluents to run into streams or rivers by doing recycling that. Recycling after purification of the effluents. Whatever level of purification is possible, we need to do that. And whatever you get out of the treatment, both liquid and solid, that needs to be treated separately. And liquid, of course, if it is purely water, it can be recycled and reused for the industry. The treatment of wastewater and industrial, which I was talking about now. Organic based purification methods are also very important. These are basically now being used in pharmaceutical industries. Organic based purification system, even organic based packing system. So these are very important as far as pharmaceutical industries are concerned, because they end up producing a lot of effluents more than that of probably a dairy product. So we need to be careful. See, if we want to generate electricity, this is the most simplest method which you can start. I mean, as an industrial energy production system, that is community biogas. You can go up to 5 megawatts, and you can serve more than, I think, 50 villages in a rural area. Probably one hobli or one gram panchayat can be given power supply using biogas, produced out of animal waste, agro waste, all the waste that is available, organic waste that is available, can be used to produce biogas. And such wastes are available in huge quantities, and which are being dumped, and again they create a lot of methane gases and end up in ozone layer depletion. This ozone layer depletion is also a major problem for which we are fighting by using the green chemistry methods. Yeah, I'm showing a different type of biogas. Simple also. What you saw in the previous one was an industrial level, but it can be used in community level also. And this is still further micro level. See, this is the advantage of green energy, green chemistry. You can go to the smallest level of operation and still produce good quality of products or energy by using the organic methods of green chemistry methods of uh, production. So now my focus is on biofuels, that too on biodiesel. Biodiesel is going to be one of the major source of energy in coming future. I'm very sure that petrol and diesel will be slowly replaced by biodiesel and bioethanol. So this is biofuel is not a new concept. It is a very old, as I said, green chemistry, organic chemistry, this biofuel were old system of working. If you remember, there was an engineer by the name of Rudolf Diesel, who had developed an engine which could run on peanut oil. So that was 100 years back almost. So from those days, before that also, people were using oil to light the lamp, vegetable oils to light the lamps. Nobody was using fossil fuel for their energy purpose. So there were oil were available for lighting lamps only, which were not edible oil, like the honge oil, the neem oil. The people were using that. Even neem oil was used in agriculture for agriculture purpose as a insecticide or pesticide, which you may be knowing better as a chemistry teacher. So, and biofuel is not a very new concept, although people have been focusing on it since last 2 decades or 3 decades, but it was there since last 100 years. And if I can tell you one more incident in our own Karnataka state, if you have heard of Mandya sugar mills, that is called Mysore sugar mills, I suppose. That sugar mills was the first industry to produce bioethanol, which was meant to be used for military purpose, military vehicles during the Second World War. That is as old as that. So there is nothing new in biofuel, only we should focus more on its usage and production and usage. So wherein we can reduce the operational cost as well as the production cost. So that is how it should be done. Uh, but the fossil fuel had begun due to its availability. See, that is the reason. So since once the world came to know about the fossil fuel, they jumped to the opportunity of producing petrol, diesel, and whatnot. So many things they have produced, and even rubber also they have produced. Fossil fuel based rubber also they end up producing rubber and rubber tubes, tires, and all that. But over the decades, the growth of transportation and industrial systems, the civilization from time to time increases in the results in massive exploitation of fossil fuel, which has resulted in massive exploitation. Even today, we are exploiting the fossil fuel reserve, which is going to get exhausted probably in the next 3 or 4 decades. So we have very less time to uh, make ourselves self-sufficient with energy sources, so that we can replace everything we can do without fossil fuel availability. Today, India is importing more than 85% of its crude oil production, crude oil requirement, and of course, the cost I did not mention here. It may be more than what you can imagine. I mean, but there was not only the thing for replacing fossil fuel. The fossil fuel causes so many, not only for the economical purpose, but also from the point of view of the pollution, the the air pollution that it causes, and because of air pollution, so many diseases also occur. So fossil fuel is highly polluting. Fossil fuel prices are highly fluctuating, which you are seeing right now. I mean, everybody is able to hear what I am telling. Everybody able to hear? Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Okay. Fossil fuels are causing maximum pollution through industrial application. All the energy needs for the industries are coming through fossil fuel. That's why we end up in polluting the atmosphere and thereby maximum air pollution, and which of course has affected the climate in our earth system, and thereby leading to major fluctuation in the physical earth system, as far as this glaciers and river systems and oceans are concerned. This is all because of the air pollution mainly. This is how the future will be if you don't have fossil fuel. Now also, because of high price only, people have shown such photos. So this is how it is. The scenario it will be even after 30 years also, maybe we'll end up like this. Biofuel is a fuel that contains energy from geologically recent carbon fixation, which is renewable. These fuels are produced from living organisms. Examples of this carbon fixation occurs in plants and microalgae. Hello, sir, you are able to hear? Anybody able to hear? Anybody has been muted.
Sir, it's audible, sir.
Okay, okay. These are the types of biofuels. As I mentioned earlier, biogas, bioethanol, and biodiesel. So biogas, you saw how it is, how simple it is, and even the technology is very simple. Bioethanol is little complicated. One reason is the to produce bioethanol, you require certain kinds of I think bacteria strains, and which are very expensive to make, and which requires a very little expensive system only if you are doing industrial production, like huge quantities. But even this you can do in lab level also. And of course, if you get permission. Now I was told they are giving permission for small scale also to meet the needs of the locals. So that is also being done. Similarly with biodiesel. Biodiesel, you would have all heard about it so many times, and you would have also come across it. Biodiesel can be mixed with regular diesel, and you can run your vehicle, any vehicle for that matter, bus, train, cars, even motorcycles, anything can be run. Only you require initial mixing of the diesel and biodiesel, and similarly with bioethanol. And the government has come up in a very big way to support all these systems of green energy, and they are ready to support entrepreneurs who would like to set up these kinds of industry, and there is a possibility that many companies like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, and all that, they are going for the green fuel, mixing of diesel with biodiesel, and ethanol with petrol with ethanol, bioethanol. All these things are going on. Biogas, of course, will come up in a huge way. The big industries are going to come up maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, where compressed biogas will be available for all purposes, even transportation, domestic, even for energy purpose. Bioethanol is an alcohol made by fermentation, mostly from carbohydrates produced in sugar or starch. As you know, this is sugarcane has been one of the major sources of bioenergy, using the cellulose content after the sugar juice is extracted, and whatever bagasse is there, it contains high quantity of cellulose, and that cellulose can be converted into energy. And even the government has agreed to partially use the molasses for producing energy. And plants are coming up based on different agro feeds also. There are several agro feeds that can be used for making bioethanol. You would have heard of cashew nut trees which give cashew apples. That flesh of the cashew apple is dumped on the ground because it is not being used. Most of it can be converted into sugar and finally into ethanol. And there is a research institute in Hyderabad. I'm forgetting, but that institute has produced a variety of stock, that is called feedstock, which is basically meant for animals. That stock is now available for producing bioethanol. It's very good quality stocks, and it is going to be grown in all unused, uncultivated lands. That can be grown in that kind of land where high temperatures, very less water. It can be grown in that area. It is not like sugarcane where you need to do heavy irrigation. It is very less irrigation prone, and it has a good quality and good quantity of cellulose in it, which can be converted into sugars and then into bioethanol. So all these are being focused in our country also. Biodiesel is made from vegetable oils and animal fats. Biodiesel can be used as a fuel for vehicle in its pure form. So biodiesel production is also very simple. Very simple technology, very simple process. Chemistry you must be knowing, um, which I can tell you a little later. Next slide. Biogas, of course, is methane produced by the process of anaerobic digestion, and this biogas today, if you there's a professor in Mysore who has developed kitchen biogas, which can be fitted onto your rooftop or even chanja level, and you can use your kitchen waste to produce the gas. It is very simple and very useful also, and very less costly also. No, it can run your gas to kitchen gas from 3 to 4 hours every day. So you can reduce your LPG usages. So this is about the three things about biofuels. There are so many other things which are being developed, that the hydrogen fuels, then methanol, there's a methanol energy, which is being converted from either wood gas or biogas. The methane coming out of wood gas and biogas can be converted into methanol easily, and that methanol can be used as a energy source. So this is the pattern of our consumption, rather production. This is a very old data. I mean, now things would have changed. Maybe offshore has a little more increased, and I don't know in Assam whether it is still very productive in the sources are very productive or not. But things have changed. It is little old data. This is the kind of petroleum we are importing from different countries, especially the Middle East and Saudi Arabia. Everybody is sending their crude oil to India, and the major market for them, and you can vary the price at your wish and will. So that is how the economy is there for the fossil fuel. Even today, the economy is very vibrant as far as fossil fuel is concerned. So we need to change this scenario. We need to get back to our old systems and work towards non-polluting and economical energy sources for different reasons. See, even if you see, if it is this data is correct, even today we are using, majority of us use solid biomass and waste in the rural areas, where you can use cow dung as a source of energy, wood, small twigs and all that for the energy source. Coal, of course, is a major source in north, especially in the eastern part of our country, where coal is still in use. This is how it will look even after 20 years probably. That is what it is telling after 10-15 years. The India's requirement of oil production and consumption, how it will be there. I mean, after the import is increasing only, although your this one has decreased. I mean, your production capacity has increased, internal production, but import is still required because the usage is very, very high. So these are the advantages of biofuels due to its environmental merits. The share of biofuel, of course, automobiles are the major users of biofuels. Even biogas can be used as a auto energy. Biofuels include energy. I mean, of course, this the security part only we should not compromise with food security with the fuel security. Food and fuel security should be balanced very well in order to not trespass the agricultural lands or any such lands which are otherwise giving human beings the required source of food and energy. They should not be trespassed because of biofuels or biogas or whatever. And we should maintain an balance between the land usage as far as producing biofuels are concerned. The biofuel, of course, the economy will grow. That's what I was been telling you, that by another 10-15 years, I think you will all see green bunks. They'll be all called green bunks. You won't have the regular petroleum bunks. Now also they have started, but it is not visible. But in future they'll label it as green bunks. So this is the advantages. There are so many advanced biofuels are easy to produce, except that production of bioethanol is little complicated, of course. And this is the biofuel. See, that's what, and there's a lot of employment opportunities in this area also, and research opportunities, and of course, women empowerment is also involved, because if you talk about biofuel, the moment you discuss about it, you go to the rural areas. You are taken into the rural areas where production of certain crops and agro waste is going to get you the energy needs that you for the domestic purpose. There is huge scope for research. That is what I have seen. Even as students have done a lot of research on this. Sources of biofuel, I'm focusing on biodiesel also. Tree-borne oilseeds like honge, neem, and Simaruba and Mahua. There are so many seeds. There are more than 350 seeds, trees which have been tree species which have been identified as a source of non-edible oil seeds which can be converted into biodiesel. Of course, microalgae is purely green energy. Microalgae, of course, it is not abundantly grown, but if there are so many possibilities of cultivating microalgae and converting that into energy sources. Waste cooking oil is being now used more for producing biodiesel. Used cooking oil, poultry waste, slaughterhouse waste, dairies come. All these are sources of biodiesel. All the scum dairy waste and slaughterhouse waste. These are all sources of biodiesel, and it can be produced economically. Bioethanol, food waste, kitchen waste, fruit and vegetable waste. So many are there. Even you have taken coffee pulp waste and coffee decoction waste. Now we have derived oil from coffee decoction waste, that after decoction you take out whatever solid part is there, that we have processed it and converted and extracted oil from that. Up to 5 to 6% oil you will get. sugarcane bagasse, of course, you can get. There are so many agro feeds. Of course, earlier when we were doing this, agro feed was not still in this one demand, but now all agro wastes have the potential of converting into bioethanols. Biogas, of course, kitchen waste, biomass, sewage waste, sewage waste, the sludge gas, we call it sludge gas. So this sludge gas technology is also available. During my earlier days as engineer in KSCST, there was a project on sludge waste gas, which was being developed at those maybe 30 years back almost. That kind of technology was there to extract gas out of the sludge after the water from the sewage, that sewage waste is removed. Whatever sludge is done due to compression. Whatever sludge you get, that can be the source of gas, and that gas can be used for energy purpose. So these are also waste, but these are not organic. Plastic and rubber are also being, you would have heard recently a news article that was coming up, that of course it was there in the WhatsApp also, that somebody in North India has converted plastic into petrol, pure petrol, and it is being used, and very cheap, very cheap. But this is not a green chemistry. This is purely again back to fossil fuels. This is how the bioethanol is produced. Of course, industrially, if you have to produce, you have to be very systematic and very expensive, in the sense that you need to maintain the quality. Otherwise, you lose lot of energy in making the bioethanol. So the process is although very simple, it takes time, but it is not very this one. But it is expensive. That is little expensive, but it can be less. Final product can be much lesser than petrol. Of course, it can be much lesser than petrol, especially what petrol you are getting today. It can be much lesser than that. These are our seeds, which you can use for making oil and then convert that into biodiesel, which is being encouraged in the rural areas. Farmers are growing it. Many farmers have made a stable income by harvesting the seeds and selling it to the market. Now, because of the bioenergy board in Karnataka, which is the first bioenergy development board in the country, because of its initiatives, the seeds which were once upon a time costing you, not very long back, maybe 2004-5, the seeds were costing you 5 rupees per kg or 4 rupees per kg. Today it has gone up to 30 rupees per kg. Still then we can think of its economy, because you get a byproduct also, two byproducts while making biodiesel, that is glycerol and that is the cake, oil cake, which are both are very useful and can be used for. And a very simple method of there are various, I told you, 350 species of trees which can give you, only we are seeing here some 10-15, that's all. This is the production system, the method of the process, the non-edible oil, you add some amount of methanol and some amount of acid for esterification. Actually, alkali used as a catalyst for trans-esterification. That is used alkali, that is sodium hydroxide plus methanol, very small quantity. Methanol may be little higher, but Sodium hydroxide is very less quantity, maybe 2% or 3% like that. So that is the kind of chemistry it is here. Very simple. That of course our chemistry faculties can understand much better. And this is the schematic thing. This is about Karnataka Biodiesel Development Board, which I was talking about. Established in the year 2010, but the process had started long back, maybe 2006-7, and they were that time Biofuel Task Force, and then they become Biofuel Board, Bioenergy Board, and they have initiated a lot of programs, especially in terms of plantation, and they have encouraged R&D projects. So this is Karnataka is the leader in bringing biodiesel into the industrial level and making use of it in vehicles and other energy requirements. So Karnataka is the first state. Maybe the quantity is very small, available quantity is very small, but it has encouraged many petroleum product users to go for this. So many tractors and auto rickshaws and big vehicles. Even KSRTC was once very much interested. If you know, it was initiated. It had initiated usage of biodiesel in its buses, and very recently, maybe 2-3 years back, maybe 4 years back, its highest quality bus. Not Volvo. There is one more bus which was imported from Italy. I'm forgetting that name. That bus was running on 100% biodiesel from Bangalore to Chennai. This trial run has been done several times and no problems have been found out during the transportation. So even the automobile industries are making or modification in their designs to have multi-fuel injection systems. That's what I have come to know, and it can be used. And of course, biodiesel need not be fully used. It can be mixed with diesel. Even you can go up to 40% biodiesel and 60% diesel and run your vehicle. That also will help a lot in reducing the import of fossil fuel. That will help a lot if everybody start using that. So that keep that in mind and work towards better quality of biodiesel, especially the chemistry part where the need to take care of of course, the calorific value and the viscosity levels, which are important to trigger to ignite the engine and make your vehicle run smoothly. So these are the things which we can focus on. So mission on biodiesel, this was started long back, 2 decades back, and by this Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy Sources. Renewable energy sources. So many committees have been formed, and today it is Government of India is clear about biodiesel, biogas, or bioethanol. It requires. It has given a target to all industries to adopt this fuels, green fuels for its regular usages, and reduce the consumption of fossil fuels. So you can see now the Ministry of that's what I've been telling you. The Ministry of Petroleum Natural Gas, MOPNG, natural gas has taken up this as one of its major activity, and biofuel cell has been created, and one of our leader in biodiesel, that is YB Ramakrishna sir, is chairing one of the committees, and he's also member of the committee which is headed by the minister himself, Minister of Petroleum. So these are the initiatives taken by Karnataka national level and Karnataka state, and you can imagine the kind of activities that is going on. So bulk users, there are bulk users like KSRTC, Indian Railways. Indian Railways has already started usage of biodiesel up to 5% because of the availability of biofuels. There is a lot of scope for production and sales of biodiesel in the country today, and government is going to come up with policies for everybody to sell their products directly to the either the petrol bunk or the bulk users. So this method is also going to come up. Once that comes up, more and more entrepreneurs and business people will come into the this one field and produce biodiesel. Where once that starts, there are two things that we need to look into. One is what I told about the quality of biodiesel. The quality of biodiesel is very important. It should meet the international standards, whatever Bharat stage 5 or 6, whatever is coming up. That standards it needs to meet at least to 85% of that, so that it can be used by vehicles, bulk users comfortably, and up to maximum percentage, even up to 50-60%, so that total consumption of diesel will come down drastically. So that we need to do that. That is the work, that is the research work that needs to be taken up in future. See, you see the contributions being done by the national government. There's a massive program is expected to unfold for biomass production, aggregation, even the collection of cooking oil. There's going to be a network. There's going to be a system of recovering the waste cooking oil and used cooking oil from hoteliers and all such. We need to prevent the usage of used cooking oil by the lower vendors who do deep fry using this oil, which is not good for our health. So all this health aspect have been taken into account, and the policy has come up to prevent usage of used cooking oil for further food production. Instead of that, this used cooking oil can be used for converting into biodiesel. So all this cooking oil chemistry and there are certain things that are involved in cooking oil chemistry, the temperature, the polymer levels and all that we need to check, and then convert that into biodiesel. So these are the things that we need to focus on the green chemistry part of the biodiesel. PUCC, that's what I was a pilot project on solid waste management and to energy program. There are so many petroleum industry like Bharat Petroleum, Indian Oil, Hindustan Petroleum, and even private players are there like Reliance and Esso and all that. They are all now being directed to invest and set up a medium-sized commercial plants as far as biodiesel and bioethanol are concerned. Bioethanol, of course, there's a integrated bioethanol plant which produces also biogas. Many sugar industries are coming up with these projects, and they are increasing their capacity of ethanol production. because of the license, Raj, all this ethanol was not very easily available for any other purpose. It was only for medicinal or some amount of spirit conversion or whatever we consume. So that production was very restricted, and it was under the excise this one that it had to pass through. But now it is little relaxed, and people can manufacture ethanol and sell it directly to the bunks with, of course, proper permission and all that. That can be done, and even there is a blending plant which is required. That is, of course, the physical chemistry which you need to use proper blending equipments when huge quantity of biodiesel and diesel or bioethanol and petrol are being mixed. Those kind of instrumentation, there the temperature and the RPMs, all this need to be controlled, and the temperature is very much essential. And if the viscosity, as long as the viscosity level matches with the regular fossil fuel diesel, it's good enough. I mean, that you need to achieve only to scientific methods of blending. Just by mixing and putting it in the tank doesn't make it good fuel for running a vehicle. So we need to be careful. We need to take care of so many things before usage of such a product in huge quantities. Of course, the railways, their requirement is 30 million or something liters per day or something like that. That kind of huge quantity to blend with biodiesel, you see the amount of biodiesel that need to be produced even at 5% level. So that is the kind of requirement we are having, and that is also comes with quality. And there are, I think, some 14 to 15 parameters which need to be followed. And only a good chemist and a good researcher can find out how to make the proper blending. So this is the national, and of course, these are some of the research you can take up. Of course, I'm always more interested in research part of it than actually the industrial level, because industrial level requires a different kind of expertise. The expertise in setting up an industry and producing the product is totally different game, and compared to what research we do, because as faculties, as teachers, you also may be more interested in research, and same thing you can transfer to your students, and they can help, they can be part of your research program, and you can develop new products and new methods for these green fuels. So these are associated research. Of course, you can have your own ideas, and it requires some amount of exposure to usage and production of biodiesel or bioethanol or biogas in order to take up a research project. So my request is, please visit some of the centers, biofuel centers or biogas production system. I think there is one in there is one in GKVK, if I am not wrong. That is University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore. Both there is a biodiesel plant, a small pilot plant, as well as there is a biogas plant also, the big one. I think it is some almost half a megawatt or 1 megawatt capacity plant. So you can check on that also. You can see how the system works, and you can replicate that in your institute through some research programs. So there are different methods, subjects, topics you can take up for research. engineering based research. Of course, engineers are there in DBIT who can think about such research in their departments. Process control. This process control is very important. Although you may see the production methods to be simple, but there needs to be process control in order to get good quality of biodiesel or bioethanol. So we need all this method, different technology research, which will lead to better production system and better products also. So please consider this. This is my request only. So you can take up such. So thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I hope I have been able to give some highlights about what green fuels and its chemistry can do for you and your faculties and the students. You can teach them and take up also some research projects in your institute. I once again thank the principal, the organizers, and the staffs and faculties of DBIT for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dear participants, if you have any questions, you put it in the chat box. Yes, I take this opportunity to thank today's speaker, Professor S.N. Sundar sir, for considering our request to spend your valuable time and share your knowledge with our participants.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
As a token of gratitude on behalf of management, principal, dean and director and organizing committee,
Yeah.
we hereby sharing the appreciation certificate to the speaker.
Yeah.
So please accept it, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
I'll send the same through mail.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. With the permission of the speaker, we are going to end the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.